Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you all for being here today. It's a great pleasure for us to have the governor of the great state of Utah here with us today. We're very honored for him to take a day to come visit with us and be with us and learn about what we're all about and experience some of the fruits of his labors of the governor as a leader of the state. So we're very grateful to have you with us today, Governor. We're grateful to have other local elected officials here with us today. We appreciate Uintah County and their Economic Development Group for the luncheon today. We thank you very much. In 2012, in the State of the State address that Governor Herbert gave to us, he challenged all of us, if you remember, to help create 100,000 jobs in 1,000 days. That challenge fulfilled in June of this year. And it's a fantastic credit to him and his leadership that there were actually not only 100,000 jobs created, but that was exceeded by 10% as well. I think we owe the governor a round of applause for his sight and vision and helping us move forward. Governor, we want you to know here at the UBATC and this campus, we're committed to move forward on that and also committed to the 2020 goal to do our part to bolster the economic growth in the state of Utah and the Uintah Basin. We do have a small token we'd like to present to you if you'd like to come up for just a minute. We'd like you to have a little remembrance. We'll have President Brims, our UCAT president, up here with us as well. A UBATC hat, commemoration of our Petrotech program and tour today, and also some gloves to drive in this winter. When you come back to the Uintah Basin when it's cold.
This looks like receiver gloves.
Yeah. And they're not bad receiver gloves either.
Well,
thank you, Governor.
thank you.
Just want to draw your attention for just a minute to the fact sheet that you have on your table of the UBATC, just to kind of bolster some of the things that have been able to be accomplished with the governor's insight and leadership and commitment to education and the local leaders here in the Uintah Basin, their commitment to education, our industry partners and their commitment to education. We have some fantastic things that have happened. We have a unique opportunity here as we have great industry connections, but also great political leaders who have the same vision to move industry close. We have a great relationship with our local county commissioners, our senators, our representatives, our economic development folks, a foundation, a mitigation district has been formed in the past years with a great futuristic site that's been a great blessing to the Uintah Basin and the education that takes place there. Also, the Division of Workforce Services has been a great partner to the UBATC and USU. And many of the things you've seen today are because of all of those entities coming together to bolster one another and to help catch the vision of education and putting people back to work. One of the great things that's happened here in the UBATC in the past year, you can see we've had a 80% growth in our certificates. That has transpired into 94% of placement rate for the UBATC. The bulk of those are in the oil and gas industry, and also the downstream effects of those industries are healthcare, are welding, CDL, all those things that support that. It's been a fantastic achievement that we continue to strive to improve upon year over year. I don't know where else you can go where you can have 190 energy companies served in one place. That's right here. 281 companies served last year. Almost 6,000 people of the Uintah Basin were served by the UBATC last year. You know, that's a great percentage of the Uintah Basin. Roughly 10% of the entire populace here in the Uintah Basin was served through the UBATC. So great things are happening here at the UBATC, great things are happening in education, and great things are happening in our economy because we have committed political leaders to help push things forward. They see the vision of a viable and healthy economy, and they have great desire to see that we all are able to raise our level of living and our standard of living, and we're able to keep our people here and put them to work and to benefit the local economy as well. So fantastic partnerships. We appreciate everything that the governor and his staff do to bolster education out here in the Uintah Basin, to bolster education in the state of Utah, and to help lift us all to a higher state. So thank you very much, Governor. We're going to turn just a few minutes to our good mayor of Vernal, Mayor Norton. Mayor Norton is a fantastic public servant. She was appointed to the Vernal City Council in 2006. She's now the mayor of Vernal and is a great advocate to the Uintah Basin. She's been married for almost 30 years, has 4 children, and has called grandma a couple times, I believe. So let's give Mayor Norton a welcome and give her an opportunity to speak for just a minute.
Aaron did really well without any cheats. I don't know how he does that. I'm trying to still learn. But I know I could get up here and talk for a long time if I wanted to about our area and how proud I am. But I will keep it brief because I promised to do so. You know, as many of you know, we were reported as being one of the 5th fastest growing micropolitans in the nation. And that was for cities our size, and which was phenomenal. I don't know, but the other day I did get a call from a lady from back east that says she represents a group that goes around and finds the best places to live, work, and play in the nation, and she wanted to visit with me. And it just thrilled me that we are on the radar, not only of the nation, but I think of the world. We have attracted many entities from around the world to our area, a lot of it through our oil and gas exploration, but I think once they come here, they see how rich we are in other ways, and they like being here and they want to do business here and stay here. I'm very proud to be the mayor of Vernal, and I've loved living here. I love the people I work with, and I think one of the keys that we have here and why we work things go so well and we're able to accomplish so much is because we work together well. And I didn't realize this until we had an experience with a leader here in our area that came from outside the area. And he kept trying to kind of buck the system and challenge and work against the other entities here as in competition. It was meant to make it better, but it was in competition. And that didn't work for us. We don't compete with each other here. We try to work really well together. And that's how we're able to accomplish so many things and make it such a great place to live. I'm very grateful for all the people I've been able to meet and the things I've learned through being the mayor. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about our area, just briefly. And if my phone, it turns one way so I can read it, the other way is so that I can just scan it a little, I guess. You know, we do have, because we're such a great place to live and work, a good economy, there are some downfalls to that, and one of them is our housing. We struggle many times to find housing for that workforce. We have programs for the lower income and programs for people that can afford the housing, but we've always seemed to struggle with that housing for the workforce, the teachers, the commercial, the retail, those people that are also the backbone of our community. And I know we've been looking at a lot of different programs that we can implement that will help that. And again, it's been through teamwork that we're able to do that. And I know we're on the right path, and hopefully we can bring more housing to the area for that workforce that we need. Also, we have this great campus here with both the ATC and the USU buildings, and they have served our community well. I would like to see us implement a little bit more student housing, possibly, so that we can bring some overflow students to our area, and they will also help fill that workforce need that we have. One of the other areas that we work on all the time is, like I said, our relationships with one another. The county, the cities, we work so well. I know it seems like an anomaly to a lot of other areas that we get along very well. We have the same vision And we can set aside our differences and work together on those things to make the community better and to progress. We do a lot here to promote tourism. We have the quarry that was shut down for a few years, and I think that helped people in our area realize how valuable that is to us and how we need to all work together to promote that and to welcome those people who come here to visit every year. We also have seen a lot of construction in our area, and that is great to see all those homes being built, people coming to our area. There are currently 221 homes available for sale in our area, and the average selling price is $197,000. I don't know how that compares to where you live, some of you that have come from outside the area, but I think it's a pretty healthy housing market. We've never had a lack of need for rental properties in our area. We have a lot of people that do come in and work here, and then their families are located in other areas and they go back to their families. So we need rental housing, and we have been able to get a lot more hotels in our area. We have actually increased the hotels in the last several years. There are 8 new hotels in our area, and there are 1,106 rooms with another 200 under construction right now. That will help also with our tourism and possibly the the short-term workforce that comes in here for short spurts. We don't want to build housing for those workers because then when they leave the area, of course, it leaves us homes that are vacant and we have to sell. So we're working together to try to get the community supported for our workforce and find that balance. And I think we've done a really good job at doing that by our teamwork. I'm also very proud to have Kevin Van Tassel as part of our team. And he has worked so hard for our area, and he does represent a larger area than just Vernal, but I'm grateful that he was from our area and could see our needs and has done so much to represent us on a state and a national level as well. We're very proud to have him here today, and I'm going to turn the time over now to Kevin Van Tassel.
I want to thank the governor and all of you for being here today. I think we have a great story to tell here in the Uintah Basin. I think I'd be amiss if I didn't recognize and tell everyone that's here that this is the Robert Williams building. Bob had a great vision for Vernal, wanted to leave a lasting legacy, and he and his family did that by purchasing this land and all of the rest and donating it to USU and having this building put where it should be and not where we were thinking about. And I appreciate his family for that. It's been successful for us. The high school can share. It's one of those things that we do by working together. And you know, I welcome the governor here. We are doing well on unemployment in the basin. Unfortunately, we need more jobs and we need more people. And we know that every company is looking for people. And the college and the Applied Technology Conference, the tech here, is key to filling those positions because there are very few jobs anymore that don't require continued education. And the great staff here at the USU as well as here as the tech, we're meeting many of those jobs, and we need to continue that because we can't make it without them. And as we add another 2,000 or 3,000 people to the workforce in the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to need training, we're going to need housing, we're going to need all of those things that helps us do that. I will say one thing, it's hard to manage housing. It's hard to have everything grow, but I know there's something worse, and that's if you have no economy and you have hundreds of homes for sale and nobody to buy and no jobs. We can manage growth when we have a retraction. That's severe and that's hard for us to handle. In welcoming the governor, I like to call Governor Herbert a rainmaker because he did not stand back. As the national economy, rainmakers are those people that make it rain even when there's no clouds in the sky. And Governor Herbert has done that well. Even as a lieutenant governor, he came to our area often, and The governor has been the lead on that, but he hasn't been alone. We have great staff in the people. I call it the Utah team. We have workforce services. We have all of the entities that work for the state of Utah. And because those all can come together and we can make decisions that are best for Utah and best for ourselves, we can succeed. And we have succeeded. Above all of the other states in the nation, we have been leading the way out of this recession that we're in. And I continue to believe that we'll insulate ourselves from that. And whether it's workforce services, if I call them up and say, hey, can you tell me what the median income is for Duchesne, Uintah, Daggett, Grand, they can get that for me. And they usually do it within a day or so. And those are the things as policymakers and as a governor, having those kind of things available for us makes this a great state. I'd like to say it is the governor's success that we're doing, but he couldn't do it without everyone else. And Governor, there's a lot of things we could tell about you riding horses and all of those things, but I think we just want to hear from you, so thank you.
Well, thank you. It really is a privilege for me to be here with all of you. And so, you know, it's an honor to serve as the governor of a state that really is doing good things. And it's a time that Utah, as I've said, is kind of like cream rising to the top. In many ways, we are excelling, and it's being noticed by other states, other governors, and people in Washington. And there is always the question, why? What is our secret? What is allowing us to have the successes we're having? And although I don't know that we can put our finger on all of it, I think we can understand that this idea of partnership, I see with the handout you've got here, which is impressive as you look at the partnerships that support economic development in the Uintah Basin. I know that a lot of you probably have my first inaugural address on your nightstand, probably studying that. I know Mike Maurer does. Mike Maurer is our resident historian. And if you recall, what I talked about when I first came into office was that if we would form these partnerships, if we'd work together in an unprecedented way, and I call them unprecedented partnerships, we would have unlimited possibilities of what we could accomplish. I believe that to be a true principle. And I believe that the Uintah Basin really proves the theory. And again, your handout here today shows people working together from the public and private sector that make good things happen. And it can be on a macro scale, a micro scale. Just us getting together here today on this Saturday has been the work of many people coming together. And I appreciate being here as your governor. I appreciate being here as your friend. And I appreciate the hospitality of so many people here that have helped me know what's going on. And thank you very much for that. You know, I'm just going to speak for just a couple of minutes here on things that I think are important. And as I think in terms of my own staff, we have John Pierpont here from Workforce Services. Again, they track the numbers. They help people retool, retrain, and if you're unemployed, to get back into the workforce. And because of the good work of Workforce Services, at least in part, again, they're not alone in this partnership effort. We have the shortest period of time of people being unemployed to getting back on the job roles than any place in America. So Workforce Services is working hand in hand with the private sector to provide economic opportunity. Val Hale, some of you know, which just recently been put on as the director of our Office of Economic Development. Comes with a significantly broad background and is prepared to build upon the successes that we've already enjoyed here in the state of Utah as we've turned the corner when it comes to economic development in our state. Again, without belaboring the point, when I came in, our unemployment rate was about 8.4%. And it's now down to 3.6%, the second lowest in the nation, second only to our good friends in North Dakota, which understand the importance of energy, like you do here in the basin. It's encouraging to see the successes that have taken place, and I appreciate our efforts at GoEd, which is really designed to empower the private sector. And as Aaron mentioned, you know, we just celebrated achieving a goal that a lot of people thought when I first said it was impossible. And maybe in other states it was impossible. They haven't done it, at least to the proportions that we've done it here in Utah. But we set a goal of 100,000 jobs in 1,000 days. That number didn't just come out of the air. It was because we had about 100,000 people in the state unemployed. So we picked that number just as a target and designed to help us work together. It really was kind of a touchstone for us to say, look, that's our goal, that's our target. Let's see what we can do by empowering the private sector to create 100,000 jobs. And you in the private sector have responded in a significant way, and the actual numbers were 112,200. So we exceeded the goal by over 10%. Again, an indication of partnership, of working together and saying, you know, we don't care who gets the credit, but let's just get the goal and achieve this goal. And we know that people's lives will be benefited if we do that. I've been in different parts of our state when we were at the throes of the economic recession, which we call the Great Recession, the worst economic times we've had since the Great Depression. And, you know, the lament of a lot of the parents was our children can't find jobs, they're having to go elsewhere. It's not a choice, it's a mandate because there's no economic opportunity. And that's a sad commentary on quality of life. Quality of life would not include having to export your children or your grandchildren. And again, we ought to focus and understand how important economic development is. And energy is the cornerstone of that. It's pretty hard if you don't have a good energy supply to have a good solid economy. In fact, I would say if you look around the world where we have third world countries, they don't have the ability or opportunity to have energy, at least affordable and in quantities that are sustainable. So you all understand this out here in the Uintah Basin probably more than most, about how that is such an important thing. Well, the other component, as I mentioned, is education. And the fact that we've had such a great tour here, Dean Edwards taking us to the Utah State facility here, and what a wonderful blessing that's been, Boyd in the back there. And Aaron showing us here at the Uintah Basin ATC. Again, a collaborative effort here in conjunction with our public education, our elementary school through high school, all focused on giving skills to our labor force where they can go out in the marketplace and compete. That's the goal we ought to all have. And it's a matter in a free market of giving our labor force those skills. No longer is the competition just here in our state with our neighbors competing for jobs, even in our region, even in America. It's really around the world. And a couple of years ago, I was in China, halfway around the world in Beijing, and met with the Minister of Economic Development there in Beijing. And I was surprised at how much they knew about Utah. Now, I'm sure that they prepared for our visit and knew a little bit, and probably somebody briefed the minister. But it was interesting. My wife spoke at a university there, and when they talked about Utah, the two most prevalent questions that she heard was, you know, tell us about the Utah Jazz. Why did you get rid of Jerry Sloan? And for heaven's sake, why did you trade D. Will? Now, that's halfway around the world, and yet there's some kind of a spotlight on Utah that the Chinese were aware of. And so when the minister talked to me about, well, we know Utah's led America out of the economic recession and is leading it. And when he said those complimentary things, when he followed up and said, we want to be like Utah, I was a little bit John-eyed about that. But I think he was sincere, saying that, you know, we see the economy, we see the job creation, we see what's the healthy quality of life that you have in Utah. And so when he said we want to be like you, I think it was genuine. He was also a little bit of what I thought was false humility when he said, we would like to catch Utah in that regard, but we know it will take us 100 years to catch Utah. Now, this is the fastest growing economy in the world, mind you, and he's saying it'll take us 100 years to catch Utah. So a little bit of humility there. But then he said, and I think there was a little twinkle in his eye, he said, but we will catch you. And I say to our young people, just know, there's a 1.3 billion Chinese out there that want your job. The competition is keen. There's a 1.1 billion people from India that want your job. And as this competition continues, the importance of having a good education and skills, not only to be able to compete, but to be able to compete and win, becomes acutely necessary. Again, I see that taking place here in the basin and what you're doing out here. I won't belabor you with statistics that you all know, but not only are we doing good as a state, but you're doing great here in the basin. And some estimates say that over the next generation, 25 to $30 billion in wages will be paid here out of the basin. The numbers are staggering. The potential is significant. And I'm as I mentioned to Senator Van Tassel and others, that I see the economy broadening out here. So it's not just energy, but you're putting the money back in and broadening your base when it comes to the economy, which is a healthy thing and a good thing, as we have long-term planning taking place here in ways we've never done before. So I applaud you for your efforts. I know this is a team effort of many people. As has been mentioned, I've been coming out here to the basin since Shep was a pup. It goes back to my pre-political days when I was a real estate broker and president of the Utah Association of Realtors. I'd come out with my realtor friends and see the challenges that were happening there with real estate market. Your real estate market's much improved since those days, Mayor. You could buy fourplexes out here for $40,000, and it was a very depressed market. Real estate's really a good barometer. If the real estate's the first to feel the pinch and the hurt of a down cycle in the business market, and usually the last to recover. So it's a good barometer for us to see how the economy is doing, and the fact that your real estate market is so healthy here in the basin is an indication of your healthy economy. In fact, now we have different challenges, and I guess, no matter what we're doing, we have challenges. The challenges of trying to grow the economy, the challenges of skilled labor force, the challenge of the pressures now of growth and the impact it has on our infrastructure and our need to accommodate that growth and maintain our quality of life with those growth pressures are things that we're experiencing now. And those are challenges, but they're challenges that if we work together, we can find. Last but not least, I've been coming here so long that I remember when Commissioner McKee was first elected. And I want to applaud him on his landslide victory here on his primary election, and wish him well going into November. But I really do appreciate the culture of the basin, the work ethic, the great principles and values that you represent, which are really the principles of Utah, which are the principles of America, embodied into our Constitution by our founding fathers. I'm concerned about the future of America because I think those principles and values are being forgotten. And with your help, they won't be forgotten here in the basin. They won't be forgotten here in Utah, and we can continue to lead in ways that the country needs. And the country needs some leadership, and I think Utah can fill that role. I'm pleased to say we're doing great, economically. We have certainly our challenges, but we're partnering together to solve those challenges. And if we continue to work together with these partnerships that will give us unlimited possibilities, we'll continue to be the best place in America to live, to raise families, and to do business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks to all of you again for being here and for the part that everyone played in today's event. We appreciate it. I think the Governor has a busy agenda this afternoon, so we'll let him on his way. Thank you again.